Well, you're not going to believe this. When President Biden pardoned his son, even after saying numerous times he wouldn't, the backlash was massive. As expected, the View's hosts were trying their best to justify this move, but Charlamagne was the guest when the topic was brought up, and he wasn't about to let it slide. So today we're covering how he called out the left's hypocrisy, and you won't believe how he shut down Sunny Hostin, who was doing her usual mental gymnastics. As usual, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos just like this.
Let me ask you something that's going around right now. A lot of this conversation about President Biden getting criticized from both sides of the aisle for pardoning his son Hunter after repeatedly saying he would never do it. And a lot of people are saying that it's hypocritical, et cetera, as if the other side doesn't do it. But what's your reaction to it?
I mean, I think all of the criticism is valid because, Democrats stand on this moral high ground all the time. And, they act so self-righteous. The reality is he didn't have to say anything in regards to, whether or not, his son wanted to be pardoned. He could have said, hey, man, I'm not focused on that right now. But since they were calling Trump a threat to democracy and they were saying that, nobody's above the law, but they were speaking about him, that's what they were running on. So when he kept saying things like, nobody's above the law, I respect, the jury's decision in regards to my son, he didn't believe that. But he didn't have to volunteer that lie.
If what Biden did doesn't scream hypocrisy, I don't know what does. And Charlamagne is right. The left has been fear-mongering about Trump for years, painting him as the ultimate threat to democracy. Quote, he'll abuse power, he'll protect his cronies, he's the villain in every dystopian novel. And yet here we are, watching Biden do the very thing that they warned us about. If Trump had pardoned one of his kids under similar circumstances, the outrage would have been deafening. You can't lecture people about accountability and democracy while playing by a different set of rules. It's like shouting about fairness while rigging the game in your favor. People see through it, and honestly, it's shameful. The double standards are so blatant, they're almost laughable, and this isn't just about Hunter Biden. It's about the broader narrative the left pushes, the one where they're always the heroes and their opponents are always the villains. Turns out the story doesn't hold up in the real world, but Whoopi just decided to ignore what Charlamagne said and was trying so hard to justify the move.
I'm going to stop you for a second.
Uh-oh.
Only because you don't know that it was a lie. We don't know why he changed his mind.
You really think he just changed his mind over Thanksgiving weekend all of a sudden?
No, I'm going to tell you what I think.
Okay. Yeah.
I think he changed his mind because he got sick of watching everybody else get over. And this is just my feeling, because at some point you get to the place where you just go, so I'm just going to follow the straight and narrow always, because that's what's expected of Democrats.
But that's their fault. They're the ones that go out there and they stand on this moral high ground. Listen, they don't have to do that.
I'm a Democrat. Tell me what the moral high ground is.
The moral high ground is nobody's above the law. I respect what the jurors are saying. You don't have to do that.
So we're mad at him because he changed his.
Oh, no. By the way, I'm not mad at him pardoning Hunter Biden.
But you sound like you're
mad. No.
Really? That's her argument? It is pure mental gymnastics. Justifying something questionable by pointing out someone else's bad behavior doesn't make it any less wrong. It's like saying, oh, everyone else is jaywalking, so I guess I'll just sprint across the highway. Would you jump off a bridge just because everyone else is doing it? Well, she would. I don't think that you would, because you're smart and you're watching this video. And if you would, please, feel free to reach out. Let's have a conversation. It's kind of whataboutism is peak hypocrisy, especially from the crowd that spent years waving the accountability flag. But now that it's their guy, the rules magically don't apply. Suddenly it's all about context, or other people did it too. Give me a break. Let's set the facts straight. Joe pardoning his son is just not family affair. It's political maneuvering, plain and simple. The whole if they can do it, so can we logic turns the idea of integrity to a joke. You can't claim the moral high ground while rolling around in the mud, and while the pundits and the hosts of The View keep spinning excuses, regular people are left shaking their heads, wondering why integrity seems to be the one thing no one wants to defend anymore.
My question is, what is it that makes people flip out with Joe, but we don't have the same kind of thing?
Well, I don't think people are flipping out with Joe. I think Democrats are flipping out with Joe because Democrats believe that they don't represent what he's currently representing. But that's just not true. That's why I say they stand on this moral high ground that simply does not exist. And I think this is also the problem when we pick sides, right? We've turned political parties into teams. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. Ain't nobody more delusional than me, right? Okay? I feel like we're going to the Super Bowl every year, but I'm not delusional. Well, no, that is delusional. But when it comes... but when it comes to political parties, if you pick a side, right, if you say you're a Democrat, if you say you're a Republican, you refuse to be objective about anything.
No, Whoopi, this isn't about Joe Biden at all. It's about the Democrats who kept on shouting about them being the defenders of justice and institutions, just to end up doing the exact opposite. It's also about a sitting president using his power to interfere with the judiciary branch and a misuse of authority that undermines the very idea of impartial justice. If presidents can step in when their family members face legal trouble, what does that say about equality under the law? It's no longer justice for all, it's laws for thee, but not for me. I've noticed, by the way, you still haven't liked the video or subscribed to the channel yet, so what are you waiting for? Now, this misuse of power is a slap in the face to the checks and balances that define democracy. The judiciary branch exists to function independently, ensuring no one, regardless of who they are, is above the law. It's a lose-lose situation for everyone, and if you ignore it, you shake people's trust in the same institutions you claim to protect for them. This wouldn't be a video about The View if we didn't listen to Sunny's thoughts and her thought-provoking takes. And needless to say, she never disappoints.
Can you reframe it in this way and think about it maybe in this way? The president has the ultimate pardon power. Every president has done this, right?
Yeah.
And so people are saying is that Joe Biden is now a liar, as opposed to Joe Biden is someone who now knows that the person that is going to be in the White House is on a revenge tour and his son is on an enemies list. And so he is using his rightful power, his rightful political power, to pardon his son. Now, is that a lie, or is that perhaps being pragmatic, having a change of opinion, as opposed to the president-elect who has lied almost 40,000 times during his first term?
Well, I can't say what it is because I'm not in
the moral high ground? Like, what's the faux outrage?
Neither one of them have the moral high ground. That's what I'm trying to get everybody to understand. But when you are a diehard Democrat or a diehard Republican, you refuse to be objective about the other party. Like, it's like we're watching them do something wrong, but we're making excuses for it. We watch Republicans do things wrong and they make excuses for it. Why can't we just all be objective and call it what it is?
That is more whataboutism with a small sprinkle of copium for you. Woo! I totally agree with Charlemagne, though. Whether you're on the right or the left, blind loyalty to the party is a great way to ensure that nothing gets done either way. Here's the thing, these political organizations are run by people and people make mistakes. When those mistakes are swept under the rug by their own supporters, the result isn't progress, it's stagnation and a green light to repeat the same bad behavior. Just think about it, if your party knows you'll cheer them on no matter what they do, where's their incentive to improve at all? When you whitewash their wrongdoings or excuse hypocrisy, you're not helping the party or the country, you're just a bystander who's enabling the problems. If you don't hold your own accountable, you can bet your opponents will, and they will weaponize it against you in the next election. I think a good way of solving this is through real patriotism, where the loyalty is to the flag and the founding principles that made this country as great as it is today. But I'd love to know your thoughts here, so let's get the conversation rolling in the comments down below. And by the way, if you want your friends to be as informed as you, please share the video with them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.